but still being irate because you went to Costa coffee drive-through and there was no lids.
I mean, that is, for me, that is totally unacceptable.
What, the lack of lids? Or...
It's an outrage. Yeah, it's an outrage. Because not only is it a problem because you've got no lid for your cups, it's also a supply chain issue. Like, who ordered 500 cups but 400 lids? What was the thought process there?
The world's gone mad.
It's nuts. Marathon runners push through pain, entrepreneurs thrive on challenges, and scientists dedicate lifetimes to solving impossible problems. Today, we're exploring the fascinating paradox of why humans actively seek out stress and difficulty, despite our simultaneous desire for comfort and ease. Welcome to Temporally Scripted. I'm Jack Austin, here with Adam Garcia, and today we're chatting about what we started calling the conflict paradox. This is a weird thing where humans don't just deal with the problems, we actually seem to go looking for them. Pretty mad, isn't it? So we'll be looking at everything from our caveman days of running from predators to why some of us now willingly jump out of perfectly good airplanes for fun. We're asking if stress might actually be good for us sometimes. Mental, I know. But we'll also talk about how our brains got wired for challenges, why nothing great ever seems to happen when things are too easy, and whether this whole needing problems things might actually be our secret superpower as humans. So let's get started, man.
Yeah, sounds good. So once again, it's quite a complex issue, just for a change. But I'm sure being world-renowned experts in every field, we can come to some conclusions.
Yeah, I mean, we're well versed in problems for sure. So we certainly got our fair share of problems that we've been through in our lives. So a lot of them self-inflicted.
It wasn't out of choice just to make us more creative. It just happened.
Yeah, and I do like this topic of why, even when life's pretty cushy, we like to create ridiculous challenges for ourselves, and also when everything is actually great and there's still things to complain about. You know, it feels like humans almost have a need to complain about stuff.
Yeah, well, I guess it's just from about 3.5 billion years of evolution that led to us. There's been a lot of problems along the way. And it's like we've always had challenges and we've always had to overcome various things, not just as humans, but as in all the different animal ancestors that came before us. Because pretty much the majority of wild animals are hungry the majority of the time. And life is difficult and life is dangerous. And so it's almost, I think, kind of hardwired into us to sort of see the world in that way.
Right, yeah. And this is where the whole fight or flight response comes from in humans, not just because we're animals as well, but also because all of those animals you just talked about used to like to eat us.
It was a scary world out there, and yeah, I guess we had a lot of problems, and you'd worry about where am I going to get food, water, am I going to get eaten, much more than you'd care about being misgendered or someone getting your pronouns wrong,
Right.
which seems to be what a lot of people get angry about today.
Yeah, when you're like sat in your cave, you know, chilling, watching a bit of Netflix, Flintstones, presumably. And then I think I'm just going to pop down to the shop, pick up a couple of bits. Oh, fuck, there's a saber-toothed tiger. Looks like it's the end of me, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and just whether it was humans or animals, just even getting water, just going down to that watering hole or whatever, and there's just a crocodile just floating under the surface, just waiting for something to get close, and then, yeah.
Which Australians still have to deal with today, of course. I mean, it's just, you know, going down to the beach, see a alligator having a fight with a shark, two snakes wrestling in the foreground.
Kangaroo with boxing gloves on, getting involved, and
Yeah, it's pretty standard. Yeah, and you see a guy walking his dog, and kangaroo looks at him the wrong way, smashes him one in the face.
Yeah, I'm sure it's exactly like that in Australia. That's what I've heard anyway. That's why I've never been.
Yeah, this is it. Well, I think my ancestors probably got sent there, but that's a different story. I mean, loads of bread taken, bastards that they were. But I did see a picture of an Australian beach the other day. One of my friends sent it to me. He's a Kiwi from New Zealand, and it's a shark half eaten with a crocodile next to it. And in the foreground, there's two snakes like wrapped up in a death grip with each other in one image.
And it wasn't AI. Right, okay. That would have been the next question. Then there's a spider next to it the size of a dog.
This is it. Yeah, this is it. But back to sort of the science of fight or flight. So obviously in this old world where we're in our caves, clearly there's no Netflix. So we are trying to survive, finding things to eat, whatever else you do to keep yourself busy. I guess it's not dying is what you do to keep yourself busy back there. So we have these chemicals inside us like cortisol and adrenaline. And when we're hunting or trying to run away from that saber-toothed tiger, these things course through our body, right? So we feel cortisol, and the idea is that we get more focus, our energy is boosted, and we get better reflexes. So we can either catch the thing we're trying to eat or run away from the thing that's trying to eat us, okay? Now, the problem with that is that in the modern world, we get the same stress responses from things like email or deadlines or nobody liked my post, or, we've only got 4 subscribers and 2 of them are me, 1 of them's you, and 1's my wife.
It's been causing a lot of stress recently.
So chronic stress is almost the price we pay for civilization.
It is, yeah, in a way. Or is it kind of like a transferal of the kind of stress you'd have in the old days? But it almost needs a place to go. And so we decide to make other things stressful. Is it stressful when a bill hits your email or comes through the front door? Yeah, kind of. But do we make more out of it because we're kind of wired to always expect some kind of stress? And so even just small things, we go, oh, wow, that's absolutely killer. And put extra weight on it, maybe when it shouldn't be there. I don't know.
So you just gave me some flashbacks there to when I first moved to Da Nang and we lived in this apartment, and there was this old dude on our floor that seemed to always have like random prostitutes in his house and stuff. And his name was Bill. So when he came walking through my door, I had a good reason to feel anxious because, this dude would like randomly walk in when I was in the middle of like calls with students, because at the time I was teaching.
Right.
And it did give me, high levels of cortisol release and adrenaline when I thought, how am I going to keep living here with this random sex pat?
And he holds his hands out to shake hands, and you're like, I don't know where that hand's been. It's not nice.
No, not exactly. But what you said there is exactly right, because our brains are wired to find threats, even when they don't exist. It's something called the negativity bias. I'm not that smart, it's written in my notes. But the negativity bias is basically a survival mechanism that kept us alive. But now it makes us turn all these minor inconveniences into catastrophes, basically.
Yeah, sure. So it's like our senses are kind of constantly scanning for threats. Because like we were saying earlier, historically, life was really, really dangerous.
Yeah, our brains are like a Windows 95 Norton antivirus running on a gaming PC.
Good way to put it.
Yeah. So, and that wasn't in my notes. That did come from my actual brain. So, I mean, that's doubly impressive, I would say.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget, folks, like, share, subscribe.
Wait, are we finishing already? We're only jumping. So, so I've got a question for you. If are we too comfortable for our own good? And is that forcing our brains to invent problems?
Probably, yeah, I would say to some extent. So studies have shown that what seems to happen is the more comfortable life is in a country, the more instances of suicide and depression.
Wow.
Yeah, which is really crazy.
That's
But
sobering statistics right there.
which also raises a question of, say, with like as technology is advancing and with AI and things like that, as we spoke about in previous episodes, I think we mentioned, what are people going to do when AI takes over so many roles in the workplace? Well, when people have nothing to do, but also the level of comfort is increased because AI will probably solve a lot of those problems too. Plus, maybe medical revolutions, which means you live 120 years. We could be gearing up for like everyone to have really long, thoroughly depressing lives. I don't know.
That sounds awesome.
No, yeah.
Is there a chance that we're just a little bit too old to be subjected to this?
Possibly, yeah.
I feel like potentially, even though we are much healthier these days than we used to be, which we also discussed in a previous episode, I reckon the damage is probably done for people like you and I, mate.
It could be, yeah. So what do you reckon? Got about 10 years left, something like that?
Yeah, maybe
7.
about 10. Yeah, 10 or 12, I would say. Well, I mean, if a cigarette takes 3 minutes off your life, I must be cutting it fine at this stage.
Yes. And all the smoking because the stress that wasn't really there, you just invented these problems because your nervous system was wired to do so.
And then you get even more stress because as you're smoking, you can see fire and smoke really close to you. And you're like, oh, that can't be. Oh, I think I'm in trouble.
But it does look cool.
I love that. I love that. But yeah, back to the point you made there. So we live longer lives, but are actually more depressed and more anxious. But is modern anxiety just a misfiring of this ancient survival tool, and therefore can it be controlled?
I think part of it is we always want to kind of overcome challenges. And so studies have also shown that when people retire, the people who kind of don't do anything and just have sedentary lives and don't really challenge themselves by learning new things or trying something different, their health tends to deteriorate quite rapidly. Whereas people who retire and then start different hobbies or things that are challenging their brains or maybe like practical know-how and things like that, they tend to live a much longer, much healthier life.
Or indeed people that never retire.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure there's other factors but most billionaires don't die young, do they? They tend to keep going for a long time. Granted, their healthcare is better and better cocaine and prostitutes and stuff. So like life
cleaner living.
Life in general is better. Wait, that sounds really wrong. We might edit that out. We'll see. I'll see how I feel when it comes round to the edit.
Sounding good so far.
But in all seriousness, I think it's because they have a drive. I don't ever see myself as retiring. I feel like that's a bit of a con. It's like, hey, work all these years, and you know, when you get to that age where you've worked and you're 70 and you're knackered from all the work you've done being in offices and living on everyone else's timeline, when you get to that point, you can chill out and do nothing, and then you do it, and it's a bit like a scene from Shawshank Redemption when they release you from jail after 40 years and you get a job in a in reverse, you get a job in a shopping center and there's no structure to your life that you're not used to. You're so institutionalized in that the way you're living that you hang yourself from the rafter. It's kind of like that. Like, what's your purpose anymore? And particularly in Western countries where old people start to become an inconvenience on their children and get put in old people's homes to play checkers, and after sitting there, crazy Marge, and she's talking about this, that, and the next over and over again. No, Marge, your son's not coming. It's not happening. He's not been here for 2 years or whatever. It's like a pretty bleak.
Well,
you can kind of understand why people give up and don't see the point in living anymore, because you're knackered at that stage.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think it's part of our nature that we always need that kind of challenge, because when we solve problems, there's that, like you were saying before, it's like a release of dopamine. And maybe there's something within that that keeps us kind of firing and keeps us being alive and wanting more, kind of thing. Because dopamine is kind of like the chemical of pursuit more than anything else. And so it's while you're solving that problem as well that you have that kind of thing going off and giving you those feelings and just making you kind of more positive and energized. And I think it's very important, because I think a lot of people do the thing of just kind of, I've retired now, so I'll just switch off, watch some daytime TV, go to the pub now and then, have some Sunday dinner, and that's about it.
Yeah, and without that drive to do anything new, to discover anything for yourself, it does become pointless, really. So the problem and the struggle itself is likely the meaning of life. I mean, I feel like for me, as I said, I don't see myself ever retiring. And somebody asked me the other day what my goal in life is. And for me, it's not an end goal. It's to become an increasingly better version of myself in all ways forever. Now, clearly, physically, that's going to be a challenge eventually. But I also watched a documentary recently that's about the blue zones of the world. I don't know if you've seen it. It's How to Live to 100, something like that. And this dude is going around to like Okinawa in Japan and to Sardinia and some parts of Greece. I think Icaria, the island that's named after Icarus, basically.
Right.
And
okay.
Of course, they all have these food, not coincidences, food similarities between places. So they eat good carbohydrates, not heavy on meat, various other bits and bobs. But one of the things that's weird that they all have is a sense of struggle.
Interesting.
Because in Okinawa, of course, there was the war. There was the fact that they're not connected to mainland Japan. So there was a big upheaval, a lot of people killed, a lot of struggle there. The Greek island they went to before the 1980s didn't import anything because of where it is. So it was difficult to bring produce from the outside.
Oh, so whatever you were going to eat had to be grown in that place.
Yeah, on the island itself. So
and when there's no food, it's not coming from anywhere. You just kind of stuck.
This. Yeah, and they would also find out what herbs did certain things. So they drink a ton of herbal tea of various plants that obviously then mean they're getting a lot of these antioxidants and all of this other stuff. So it's weird. And it's also not just struggle in that sense. The place in Sardinia, they found that the people that lived the oldest in the parts of Sardinia that lived the oldest were the ones that had the steepest villages.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So they had to struggle uphill every day.
Exactly. Yeah. Right up to 100. And it's the link of it being exercise that you don't know is exercise necessarily. So these are all forms of stress.
Yeah. So I guess there's a couple of things there. In some ways, we know that generally when there's struggle or if there's some kind of danger or anything like that, people generally cooperate more. So if you think of, I don't know, the Second World War, how everybody came together to fight the common enemy, or even after like 9/11 or something like that, there was like a lot more unity in the United States and even between various countries and the United States and things like that. Um, and so maybe when you have a community where everybody's going through a certain struggle, people cooperate more and the bond between people becomes stronger. And so they have that real sense of like society and togetherness. And that could be a really major factor in this as well, because no
Yeah.
one's isolated on their own. It's like everyone's in this thing together, battling through.
Yeah, that was a huge part of it, was community as well. It is certainly because they found a blue zone weirdly in the United States. And I guess we could probably cover this topic another time, but let's just finish the story for what we're at.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the Adventists. And they really say that, well, it does link to struggle, actually. So what the Adventists do is a branch of Christianity. But one of the things that they believe is that being at the physical peak of what you can be is close to godliness, right? Like cleanliness being close to godliness. For those guys, it's about physical exercise and keeping yourself fit and healthy. But they do that as a community. So they're always going and playing pickleball, tennis, you name it, but they do it as a group. And they have a day in the week every Sunday where you're not allowed to do anything. So you just go and spend time with people and share meals with people and that kind of stuff. So it's community, but it's also struggle. So
Yeah,
it's really interesting.
it sounds like a really nice combination of everything. Excuse me, and a really good way to live.
This is it. So part of it is that struggle. And there's a biological law behind this called hormesis.
Mm-hmm.
And basically the premise of that is that small amounts of controlled stress make all organisms stronger. And if you think about the gym that we were talking about last time, that's how you become stronger, right? You tear your muscles and they rebuild and they become stronger, and your bones will become more dense because you're putting pressure on them regularly. And even if you think about flu, cold, illness, our immune system strengthens to these things through exposure. Like vaccinations work because we expose ourselves to these things. Like I know recently I went and I had a dengue vaccination because I'm very lucky and I've already had dengue twice, which is awesome. And apparently if you get dengue a third time, it can be fatal. It's like more likely that you will die of internal bleeding, which is not on my to-do list.
That's not a nice way to go.
No, the kind of planned heart attack, cancer, something else.
Right.
Yeah, your brother, dengue, mosquito.
It's a bit too sweaty, and yeah, it's not nice.
Yeah, it's not, it's not the most fun you can have, and it does wipe you out for quite a long time. So I saw there was a vaccination for it last time I went to get my kids all their vaccines and stuff. And it's exactly that. It's exposure to a small amount of the disease. I did double check it wasn't one of these modern mRNA vaccines, which I'm not going to share my opinion on here and now because I don't want to get cancelled. But yeah, so again, it's something that even at a cellular level, these stress trigger adaptations basically, which improve our longevity.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And also, I remember reading that there were studies done where a moderate amount of stress and difficulty, it actually makes people more creative and better at problem solving, which is really interesting. So it's almost like we need some level of stress there.
Yeah, and I guess that's linked back to cortisone, right? Like we said at the very beginning of the episode, it's that stress will make your brain sharper. And creativity is a form of sharpness in the mind, right? Because you're noticing a pattern or a structure or something you can pull out.
Yeah, completely. And I guess there's always times of stress. What is it like? necessity is the mother of invention or something like that. It's all those times of stress that have led to huge innovations, whether it's for lack of food, and so we have agriculture, or when you think of war times again, like the Second World War, you had like the Manhattan Project, radar, various other crazy things. Like some of the strategies that the Allied forces used are just insane and so like inventive. It's like beyond belief, but it was that stress and difficulty and seeing that this problem has to be solved that just sparked this crazy amount of just innovation.
Yeah, and you wonder if the modern generations, including ourselves, still have that in us. And I would say we do, right? I think a lot of the time people say that the modern generation is lazy and less capable, and sure they are.
Mm-hmm.
But when when humans are put in that position, they adapt. And I believe that that's the strength of humanity, is that we're unbelievably adaptable to situations. And it's also why it's quite dangerous, because we're easily controlled and coerced because of how malleable we are and how much we will adapt to situations.
Yeah, completely. I was thinking the other day a little bit about this, and if I was a government or some world leader or something like that, and I wanted to control a lot of people, I would have a team of expert psychologists that work with me. And I would say, okay, well, I want to create this illusion that there's an enemy. I want to cause some discourse and division and things. How do I do it? And we could find ways via the news or social media or various tools at our disposal to be able to control society, and with an aim to controlling people. And you could use some elements of this struggle or the perception of an enemy, and that enemy, it could be another foreign power, it could be within your own society. So it might be, I don't know, the leftists or the far right or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just creating this illusion of there's a threat, and it's just always there. But it doesn't seem like people are overcoming it in creative ways. It just seems like it's kind of been forced in there, and maybe it's replacing part of that thing of always having some level of stress or adversity. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Yeah, but I get where you're coming from, and I think that could almost be a reaction to the fact that life is so easy for the vast majority, or well, even is it the vast majority, but certainly in my experience of the people that I've been around, and mostly being in developed or developing countries, life is much easier now. We avoid discomfort at all costs. The amount of times people will drive somewhere, or even here, take a motorbike somewhere where you could easily walk. All of the technology we have removes the friction of living. So food is instantly available. We never have to endure boredom in any way. Like my kid is always, I'm bored. I want to watch the phone. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I don't remember it being like that when I was younger, but I know that I was more bored than the generation before me, if that makes sense. So
yeah, probably just keeps getting progressively more and more bored.
Yeah, or maybe that's just what happens, and you have this rose-tinted view of the past, and you're like, when I was a kid, I used to write down all the football teams from the back of the newspaper and then draw them out of a hat and roll the dice or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And that's true. That is what I did.
Or I had a rock. I used to go and play with a rock outside in the garden. It was great. Spent hours doing that.
This is it. I remember when porn was in a magazine, you used to have to hide it in the bush down the road. Was that anyway?
And everyone knew where it was.
Yeah, and we used to share it. Yeah. Not at the same time. Well, that's what we'll get to. But yeah, by like eliminating all of this struggle, is it possible that we're making ourselves weaker, like mentally, physically, and emotionally? And that's why you see such an increase in mental health issues and in people like not being able to do 10 press ups, for example. Like some crazy stat, like 50% of the American population can't do 10 press ups. I was part of that a year and a half ago, and I'm not American, but still. Could
But I
this
mean,
modern pursuit of easy be the real cause of the general unhappiness that you see in the world?
well, it could be, yeah. I wrote something down actually. There's something known as the cushioned cage effect, which is basically just that, where modern humans have fewer mortal threats than ever before, but at the same time, higher anxiety levels than ever before. It's just that seems to be how it's going.
You just sorry, go on.
Yeah, and I don't know how you counteract that. I guess in the way that a lot of people do now with exercise, or that could be going to a gym, it could be doing certain sports, um, or it could be other things which kind of challenge the body and the mind and are hard to do, like going in a sauna or a cold plunge or something like that. It's like, and people that do those kinds of things generally tend to be happier than the people who don't.
Yeah, this is true. And I guess you could even apply that to hedonism and going and taking tons of drugs and partying and staying awake late and stuff. It's again, it's like doing something a bit crazy that spikes
It's
the
challenging.
dopamine and it challenges you. I mean, yeah, if you've ever tried to dance to, which I know you have, more for the audience, if you've ever tried to dance to repetitive electronic music for 36 hours in a row
It takes some doing.
and then get up for work the next day, well, the next, after the weekend, you
Or the
know
sort
what
of
it's like.
or like the Suicide Tuesday when everything's come crashing down.
Yeah, because Monday
There
is
is no
still high.
serotonin.
Yeah, that's right. Because Monday is still high, so you can sort of cruise through, dancing a little bit to the sound of the coffee machine in the office. I love the vibe off that coffee machine. And then by Tuesday, yeah, you're pretty much done. Wednesday's exhaustion. Thursday, probably go out tonight.
Yeah, just for a few beers. Then Friday, it's like, hey, weekend's here again.
This is it. This is it. So I think we're getting into, yeah, if the body needs mind and stress to evolve, then are these the things that happen when we remove or struggle from life elsewhere? You know?
Hmm. Yeah, it must be in. It's this thing that everyone just kind of assumes that life should have no stress or no difficulty. And that seems to be, we were talking about younger generations earlier. That seems to be what we're kind of implanting in young people's minds, that life should be this thing where there's no real challenge, there's no difficulty. And I think maybe younger generations, obviously not all, but on the whole, are kind of challenging themselves less, giving themselves less difficulty in life, and at the same time, because of this, becoming less happy, uh, having like pretty much no stress. Everything's there. As long as you go to work or do this, you can go to the shop and buy this and pay the rent and just have everything kind of flat and on a level. No ups or downs or peaks or troughs, just living in this comfortable little bubble.
Yeah, apart from the peak you get, when you get to level 76 on League of Legends and it gives you a semi.
I guess there's that.
I've never played League of Legends, but I may or may not have had a similar incident with Football Manager and winning the FA Cup with Forsman.
What wasn't that wasn't that
The
SBF?
things that give me a semi. Sorry. There's an episode there.
Jeez.
Sorry, wasn't that
Yeah, wasn't that just when I heard League of Legends, wasn't that SBF, Sam Bankman Fried? He was kind of addicted to playing League of Legends to the point where he was even like in court being charged, and he's there kind of like playing League of Legends.
Well, when you've got to level up, you've got to level up,
So he must have hit that level 76 or whatever you were mentioning before.
Yeah, I actually don't know how many levels there are. I'm just trying to seem relevant by mentioning League of Legends. I thought, maybe I would attract a younger audience with our subscribership.
Or just any audience would be nice.
I like that. I like that. So again, it's funny that you said what you said earlier on about people seeking out this hardship, because you see that with people that do like endurance events or jump off mountains like dressed as a squirrel, or like we said at the beginning, leaping out of perfectly good airplanes or aeroplanes or however you want to say it. Like, what's that all about?
Yeah, completely. Again, it's just that kind of adversity and struggle. I was reading something where it said that around 75% of ultramarathon runners say that pain and suffering are two of the most important components in their appreciation of what they do. And that's why they enjoy it. That's why they like it. A huge part of it is just the pain and suffering of doing it.
And that's our future, my friend, because people that have heavy lifestyles like you and I in their 20s and early 30s, they tend to end up going and being like ultra marathon runners and stuff. You know that?
Yeah, I don't want to be the next Dave Goggins. It's like I don't want
You maggot.
Love it when I was watching this thing where someone's like critiquing his like schedule and his kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, his workout routine, I guess. But even just like stretching, he's like, I stretch for 2 hours every day. And you just 2 hours, what? But it's like, it's not even like just on a night time to chill out. It's like set an alarm in the middle of the night to get up, go downstairs and stretch for 2 hours.
So you're like living proof that burnout doesn't exist for some people. But I mean,
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's like, for me at the moment, I'm doing a lot of stuff in my business and developing things and changing stuff, and been working a ton of hours. And towards the end of last week, it was like Saturday. I woke up, I was like, I can't do anymore. I need to not look at computers or try and do stuff for 2 days. And it knocked me out until like mid-morning Tuesday. So
Yeah, I can imagine.
I don't know if I guess maybe going from not super crazy levels of activity to super crazy levels of activity, which is the technical scientific term for it, by the way, is what screws you. Maybe over time it's something that he gradually built up and just kept pushing the boundaries and pushing the boundaries and pushing the boundaries, and then ended up not being able to be burnt out. But if anyone should be followed for creating their own problems, I mean, David Goggins has got to be up there.
Yeah,
Right?
for sure.
I really need to, I struggle to get my meditation in the morning and a few stretches, let alone waking myself up at 2 a.m. to stretch for an hour.
By the time you've woke up to do meditation, Goggins has already run 7 miles. I don't know.
What the fuck is that about?
There's yeah, we'll probably get onto that in a different episode, I guess. But there's a part of the brain, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's the part that's to do with willpower. And Goggins has just developed that specific area of the brain, like unconsciously, I guess, or not knowing that that's what was happening. But yeah, his is developed to some like ludicrous degree. Yeah.
So now it takes up so much of his brain that he's got no perspective of reality.
Maybe.
Can you imagine the worst Christmas present anyone could ever give you? If like when we get to more than 4 subscribers, and we start coining it with our podcast, I'm going to get you the Christmas present of like personal trained by David Goggins for the month of January.
Oh, cheers, mate. Oh.
Well, I just wanted you to be super healthy, peak performance at it. He's there in your face at 3 o'clock in the morning. Why don't you start? You fucking get the fuck out of here now.
Stop being a bitch.
That's crazy. Yeah, so it does all link back to what you were saying about the dopamine levels, and dopamine being about the chase, and all of these things come from that urge for us to want to be challenged in a new way. And then once we achieve it, we still want more.
Well, it's like you were saying earlier, you were saying that you don't want to retire, or someone's saying, what are your aims in life and things like that. Well, those things change all the time. It's like you have an aim and then you get there, you achieve that thing, and it feels super good for maybe a week, maybe less, maybe more. And then you go back down to base level again. And so then you need something else to pursue, and something else to be involved in and be creative with some other goal in mind in the future. But because that's the thing, is we always think, oh, if I just have this, if I just do this, I'll be super happy and I'll feel really achieved. And it's like, yeah, you will for a bit.
For a few days. Yeah.
And then it's like, what is it, homeostasis, where your dopamine levels return to baseline and you're back where you were before, really. You might look around and you might appreciate that you've done something. You might practice a bit of gratitude in life and it makes you feel better. But overall, you're back to the beginning and you have to find the next thing that you want to do.
Yeah, so there is some science behind that as well. And in my notes, I've got it as the hedonic treadmill effect.
Yeah.
So basically, no matter how much success or comfort you get, you always return to that baseline and seek new challenges, which is exactly what you're saying, and why millionaires continue to want to make more money. But I also think it's not even the money. Like, this is the weird thing. I think before I started seeking getting to that level of achievement in business, I just thought that billionaires love money and want more money, but it's not that. The money is a side benefit of them continually improving and being better people. And of course, people are born into money, and that's a different thing. People now get money from posting like random videos on YouTube, but as me and you are showing right now, that isn't easy either. It takes some doing. It's not simple even to get a production together and get stuff out. There's a lot of things that need to be jumped through. And most people just won't do that. They will just flick on their Netflix and look at crap on their phone and never even notice these things. But yeah, it comes back to then I think what happens is people will create what we call first world problems. Because solving those problems gives life meaning. So one of my favorite examples of a first world problem is when you get to the Costa drive-through and they got no lids. I mean, that's
a serious issue.
Of course. I mean, there's the risk of scalding.
I mean, it's not life-threatening like a crocodile next to a shark or something, but it's still pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, this is it. But so these kind of first world problems that pop up is people's way of complaining about stuff like that. Like if they don't have any, not that, to be fair, I'm not a glove wearer at the petrol station, but I know some people that would get really, really offended if they got to the petrol station and there's no glove to hold the pump.
Oh, right. Yeah.
In Vietnam, you can go to the petrol station and the person who works in there does it for you, right? But in the UK, if you get to the petrol station and there's no gloves in there, I mean, it's a travesty.
Right. I mean, I haven't been to a petrol station for quite a long time in the UK.
Since you worked in one before you left. Scientist. Just
might come back. It's quite a nice job.
Adam never worked in the 24-hour BP.
I have visited it many times, so like 3-4 in the morning.
In that queue with like a bunch of degenerate people. Yeah. You meet some characters in the queue for 24-hour shops in the UK.
Yeah, you do. Interesting is definitely the word.
You definitely boosts cortisone levels, adrenaline.
Your fight or flight response is all over the shop.
You're that dopamine feeling while you're waiting to place the order, shouting through the glass. I love that. And again, away from the first world problems, is why you often see people that are in developing or undeveloped countries that are living even tribal levels or walking miles every day to get their water, or living in really terrible environments, or what we would see as terrible from our modern perspective, are super happy with their lives. Like, they're laughing, they're joking, they've got community, but they spend 50-60% of their day just surviving.
Yeah, which is that natural place that people are wired and evolved to be in. And I don't know if there's a way we can undo evolution to make people happier when they have easier lives, but it just seems like that's the way the brain works, and it's probably always going to be that way.
So here's a random thought for you that popped into my head earlier, and then it popped out and it's just come back. So it must be relevant, or maybe not. Could be, like you said, derangement. I think in one of the earlier episodes, which has become my tagline. What if, because life is so much easier now, and we don't have all of these potential fatal situations as much as what we had before, what if it's like the way of humanity as a whole controlling itself in terms of population? So an increase in anxiety, an increase in depression, these things we know tend to lead to earlier death, whether it be cancer being triggered inside your body, whether it be heart failure, whether it be any of these things leading you to alcoholism, drug use, whatever. Is it like a balance thing where, as a whole combined organism, humanity is like controlling its levels in a different way?
How do you mean? Like to sort of rebalance the books because there's too many people, and so make them depressed, make them off themselves, and
Like a regulation, yeah, like a regulation of humanity, because we don't have so many predators anymore. Because this happens, right?
So it's like nature's way to avoid overpopulation.
Yeah, because it happens. I'm sure this happens in, and this isn't from my notes, so I could just be talking total bullshit. But I'm sure where they bring in, which is the case of the podcast. But if you hear this many episodes of it, you probably know this. But when you have like an invasive species somewhere, it usually grows and grows and grows and grows and takes out all the other things, like grey squirrels in the UK, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Vicious bastards coming in, killing our red squirrels, like
Pretty
getting
much.
tribal and stuff. Basically, they then get a disease. Usually, right? Usually some kind of disease will break out and start killing them. And it's like nature's way of controlling the population.
Yeah, or something.
In the absence of any other control.
Yeah, or something happens where that invasive species just becomes too successful to the point where there's then nothing else for that species to feed on because we've already consumed it all. That can happen too, I guess. I don't know. I guess nature always does come to some kind of balance, or maybe it just seems that way to us.
Maybe it's just a way of explaining things. I suppose humans, we do have this need to attach an explanation and a reasoning to everything, and sometimes there just isn't one, which makes for fascinating content and people sitting down and listening to us for an hour. But whether or not any of it is accurate or close to the truth is a whole different matter. I mean, I do have this thought about all of this just to sort of bring us to how we can use problems, because if problems are inevitable and no matter what happens, we're going to have them.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a power in being intentional about the problems that we have? And can you then choose the problems that you're going to have to deal with?
Well, I guess in some ways people do that all the time anyway. So it's like you go, okay, I'm going to start a business. That's a load of problems and struggles that you've just decided to put upon yourself. It's for a reason. It's something that you think will be successful and will make you happy and things like that. But it is like a self-inflicted issue that you've chosen.
Yeah, and for me, it's like it comes back to that, which I can't remember where I heard this, so I can't quote it, and we won't be able to put it in the show notes. But it's something where people say, if you're fat, that is a problem, right? That causes problems, and it's difficult to be fat, right? But it's also difficult to be fit. It involves training. It involves watching what you eat. It involves following a regimen, a regime, a habit, right? So you have to do all these things that aren't comfortable to do. But also being really fat and overweight and tired and out of breath and sweaty and whatever is...
It sounded like that was going to be a really long list.
I'm not being a fattest. Shut up, you fat bastards. All right?
No fat shaming.
Sending me hate mail just because you're a chubbo, okay? But it's a choice of which problems are you going to take, and they're both rubbish in their own way, because no one wants to be a fatty, right? But also, well, unless it's like, you've got some sort of glandular problem,
which happens occasionally, but it seems like a lot of people say they have it.
It's the same way they say, like, oh, I've been eating for 2, and then 4 years after the kid's born. It's like,
yeah, are you really?
It's eating itself now. Come on. But anyway, so that's women, fat people. Who else can we put in this episode?
I wonder if it's different ethnicities as well.
But the same with, like, back to that point, is the same with being rich or being poor. There's a choice involved there, right? It's not easy to become rich unless you're born into it. It's not easy to become rich at all. So you're choosing your set of problems, right? You're either going to be poor and struggle with that, or you're going to become rich and you're going to have to work hard and sacrifice to become rich. And all of these things come with their own issues. I think, like, even if you're born into a life that's really good and you've got great parents, that will come with its own issues as well.
Yeah.
Like, an example is if you're always praised by your parents and they always say that you're really good at everything, it can cause you to rely on external validation for things, for example.
Yeah.
Right? So no matter what the situation is, there's a set of problems attached to it.
Yeah. Again, it's a bit like that Thomas Sowell thing. There's no solutions, only trade-offs. And it's like everything in life just has that trade-off to it. There's no, oh, this is the perfect solution. This is the perfect thing, the perfect way that life could be. There's always some drawback to everything.
Right. Yeah. So one way or another, you're going to end up suffering. So you might as well choose to suffer for the things that are worth suffering for.
Right. So you may as well suffer in a Ferrari.
Exactly.
Because you're in a knackered pair of shoes.
Yeah, looking, and being fit and healthy, looking out the window at all the poor fatties on the street.
But still being irate because you went to Costa coffee drive-through and there was no lids.
I mean, that is, for me, that is totally unacceptable.
What, the lack of lids? Or...
It's an outrage. Yeah, it's an outrage. Because not only is it a problem because you've got no lid for your cups, it's also a supply chain issue. Like, who ordered 500 cups but 400 lids? What was the thought process there?
The world's gone mad.
It's nuts. Unless there was some kind of quality issue with some of the lids, or people double lidding. I mean, double lidding's extreme, isn't it? When you've got children starving in the world and there's people in the UK double lidding in Costa. I mean,
I'm glad you brought this issue to the awareness of Well, me for one, and all of our viewers, which is probably not that many. But it is an important issue that should be raised. And I don't know if we need to get a petition going so people start talking about it in Parliament, or I don't know. But yeah, double lidding is, I don't know.
Totally out of order. So yeah, so I think that sort of wraps the topic for today. So whether you're at home now complaining about the lack of lids in Costa, or you've gone to McDonald's and there's 5 people in the queue and you enter a McShit, we need to understand that part of it is just being human. It turns out that we're not just problem solvers, we're problem seekers. And our caveman brains are hooked on that sweet, sweet adaptation rush, which is dopamine. And no matter what happens, no matter how easy things are, we're still going to be chasing it. So maybe the trick isn't trying to make life super comfortable and easy, but making sure the problems we tackle actually mean something to us and lead to us not being a fatty and getting a Ferrari. Because God knows we spend enough time stressing about things that really don't matter in the grand scheme. Next week, we're going to have a proper chat about what we're calling the education revolution. And it's all about learning in the digital age. So we're going to ask if schools are still relevant when kids can just Google everything or use AI, and how weird it is that we're still basically teaching the same way we did 100 years ago, abacus thrown in and all. So what skills are going to matter when AI can now write your essays for you? I've got some stories from my nightmare school days that will make Adam feel better about his, and we'll be sharing all those as well. If you enjoyed it today, let us know in the comments, like, subscribe, all that jazz, and answer this question for us. So what ridiculous challenges have you set yourself lately? And also, are you the type to make life harder for no apparent reason? Drop us a message on X. We're at Temporally Scripted. Check us out at www.temporallyscripted.com. We've probably replaced the lorem ipsum on there by now. And we'll put the links to show notes, a few quotes about people and how they handle stress around the world. Because it turns out it's not just us Brits that moan about everything. We're the champions of moaning about the weather as well. Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, thanks, guys. See you next time.